So today I'm starting my spooky reading vlog. I am gonna do 2 weekly vlogs focusing on my fall TBR, and I'll be selecting a few books that I want to read and like share with you through this reading vlog. And yes, for this first week, actually what I wanted to do is focus on graphic novels, because I realized doing my fall TBR that I have so many of them, and these are just 6 that I selected, but and a manga, so 7 I guess. And I do have a few more that are like maybe fall vibes kind of thing and not necessarily spooky, but for this time around these are the ones that I selected for me, that looking through my shelves, those are the ones I'm excited for. And yes, so I thought this first week could be like very focused on graphic novels. Plus, I don't think I've read many graphic novels in the last couple of months, which I usually try to read 1 or 2 at least, so either a graphic novel or a manga, because I love that form of storytelling. I'm very visual, so to me, seeing the different ways people can tell a story through their style, I just completely love it. So yes, I think for this first week, we're gonna read a couple of these. Honestly, if I really put my mind to it, I think I could read all of these in a week. So I could literally do a graphic novel a day, just because I get really into it. But maybe not. Maybe I don't want to push myself to read 1 a day. So it depends. Like today, for example, I think I'm gonna have a pretty chill day. I don't think we don't have any big plans today, and we went to gym yesterday, so I won't have any gym to go to today. So I think I may try to finish like 1 in a day. And yes, now I'm just having to choose which one I start with. So I think I want to start with Snapdragon, actually, because this is by Kat Lee. I think it's gonna be like a good start of like just a fall vibe book, and slowly going through like more like the spookier books. So, and it is my perception of it, because I don't know that much about them, so I don't know the spooky level of each of these. And I think that's what I want to do, actually. I'm gonna try to place them from least spooky to spooky, and I'll see at the end if I was right. So let me do this now. I looked at them, and just based on vibes alone, I think this is gonna be my scale from the least spooky to the most spooky. And I could be wrong, I haven't read them, but I want to compare with what I'm gonna do at the end of the reading vlog. I'll see if I was right with just the vibes the books are giving me, and see if there's any that I can recommend to you. I think with the like spooky meter, so I'm gonna put it here, you'll know if it's for you or not, like if you want more of like a cozy vibe, or if you want more like actual horror. So I'll see where these land, and the ones I can recommend you with like your tolerance level of that. I think I still want to start with Snapdragon, just to see. I don't know that I'm gonna read them in order, but maybe I'll see. I'm still very much a mood reader, so I don't want to force myself with a very specific list. So I'm gonna, I think, pick and choose depending on my mood, more than by the degree of spookiness that I think they are. And yeah, and then I'll rank them, as I go along. So I'm gonna start with this one. I'll do some shots just showing at least the vibe of the book. And yeah, I'll update you. I think I'm gonna go more towards like an end of graphic novel update instead of the middle, just because some of them are fairly short, and graphic novels, if I'm really into it, I have a hard time knowing when to stop. So yes, I think I'm gonna do just updates at the end, unless there's something ridiculous that I need to share right in the middle of it. But yes, I'll try to like keep it all in for the end. I'll start reading this one. today we're the 17th, so this is day 2 of my reading vlog. So for this update, I actually finished Snapdragon yesterday and I really enjoyed it. So I wrote little notes. I think I'm gonna do the reviews at the end of the video. So if ever you want to just see the, you know, end result of this reading vlog, you can always catch up there. And I haven't learned yet how to put like the timestamps, but at worst I'll do it manually, so I'll just put it in the description like when the review starts. But yes, so I finished yesterday Snapdragon and I'm hesitating on what I read today because it had like the spooky elements, but it wasn't a scary one, and I think I want something a little bit more spooky today. So I think I'm hesitating between Les Cousines Vampires and M for Monster. But I think I wanna read Les Cousines Vampires. Just because I've been meaning to read it for a couple of years now. And I mean, all of them I've had it for a while, but this one specifically, it's been so long that it's on my shelf that I kind of want to get to it. And it's really short, so I feel like if I read it at my lunchtime, then, you know, I'll have one book down for this reading vlog. And at the same time, I'm still finishing The Angel of Indian Lake by Stephen Graham Jones, so that's really fun. I think I only have like an hour left of the audiobook. And honestly, that is a wow of a ending of a trilogy. So much happened, and at some point we were kind of getting a resolution, or at least I really thought we were at the end, like it felt like it. And then I looked and there was like 5 hours left, and I was like, there's no, like, what is happening? What do you mean we're not wrapping this up and like everyone is happy? And yeah, it just keeps going. And wow, like truly this is a crazy way to end a trilogy. I've never been more satisfied, and in an awful way, by the way, because like it gets really dark. Like I feel like as you go along, the first one is pretty dark already, but I feel like the more you go into the series, the darker it gets. So yeah, like very satisfied, but also like very sad in how it's going. But I feel like I would expect nothing more, like nothing less from Stephen Graham Jones. So there's that I'm reading. So I am kind of in a spooky vibe already. So yeah, I'll show you some of the panels like I did for Snapdragon, and so you can see kind of the art style and everything. I only do the first pages. If you're scared to like get spoiled, I only do like the first few pages, just snapshots of it. Like you won't get spoiled on anything. I would not film past like the halfway point or anything. So just in case you don't want to get spoiled. So I'm gonna show you some of the panels, and then I'll keep you updated when I pick up my next graphic novel. I'm coming to you with a tiny update. I'm gonna make it short and sweet just because, again, I'm gonna keep the reviews or like my more thorough thoughts at the end of the video. And again, I'll try to find a timestamp thing. But yes, so I read and finished The Moth Keeper by Kay O'Neill. I actually ended up starting it the day before and then finishing it yesterday. And then I started Passage Secret by Axel Lenoir and Trompe-l'œil. And yeah, so that's basically what's going on with the graphic novels. I'm like flying through them. I think this one might take me a bit more time, not because it's, well, it's slightly bigger than the other ones. Yeah, it's slightly bigger than the other ones, but it's also a very slice of life, I feel like. So I'm not sure if I misread the whole spooky elements, although there is a ghost. There's like a ghost on this side, so I'm not really sure if I misread the whole like spooky elements. But anyways, so I think it's gonna take me a little bit more, just because the way it's done, it's like, yeah, it's more like a slice of life kind of graphic novel, which is not what I was expecting. But so yeah, there's this, and then once I finish, I think I only have 2 graphic novels left of the like stack I had at the beginning. And again, I love graphic novels so much. I just get so sucked into it, and I get so immersed into them, and I just enjoy being in that world for that moment. So I do go through them really fast. Not too fast. I try to enjoy like the coloring, like the panels, the details in the drawings. I mean, some are more details than others. And so yeah, I'll talk to you about that at the end. But because we're doing a spooky reading vlog, I thought it was appropriate for me to tell you also about the books I'm reading that are like very much in the spooky vibes. And so I finished actually The Angel of Indian Lake. I loved it. Honestly, it was a great way to finish the trilogy. I love the acknowledgements, I think, at the end from the author. So it was like going more into depth of like his writing process and everything, with the main character and everything. And honestly, I'm not gonna tell you anything about the third book because, well, it's the third book. I feel like anything I would say about it is a spoiler. Just know that I really enjoyed it. I think it was a great way to finish a trilogy. It was just as awesome as his other books. I have 0 complaints. Like, I think maybe would be the pacing, but just a tiny bit. And yeah, maybe honestly that would be it, because the rest, and in general the pacing, because I know what to expect from the other 2 books, I wasn't like shocked that it was taking that pacing, like this kind of horror movie pacing. But yeah, at times I did feel a bit like what are we doing right this specific moment? I feel like we're in a rush of events. Why does it feel like it slowed down? And it was weird at some parts. But honestly, the story, the characters, I really enjoyed it. And there was like even an added point of view if you want. So that was interesting too. It wasn't like the point of views in the second book. It's just in another way. It's like more of a document kind of way. So yeah, really enjoyed it. Honestly, a trilogy I highly recommend if you want like a spooky horror movie, very aware of itself, very aware of its genre, very, you know, main character that kicks ass, but like she has to kick ass. Like, she's a kick-ass character. She doesn't know about it, but she becomes that character. And she, yeah, just in general, you know, like female characters being awesome, having like side characters that are just as developed and great to have around, others that are awful to have around. And it's just, and the reality of also like the setting of it, with having, I think that's in the first one. So in the first one, you have like rich people wanting to come and like create those big houses and like, you know, like gentrify the whole space. And that's a big part of it that kind of still continues, less so than in the first one, of course, but I feel like it brings up a lot of the issues with gentrification, about how indigenous people are being treated, how, you know, their ancestry is just being pushed back and pushed away more and more with those kind of projects. So anyway, just it has so many layers, so much information, so many themes that yes, I loved it. And I could like ramble on about it, but just know that I highly recommend that trilogy. And so right after I finished it, I actually had another book that came in that I was like on hold for, and it is The Black Girl Survives in This One. And honestly, it didn't click that it was an anthology. I just honestly thought it was the book, that was the book. It's an anthology. I don't hate it. I love, like, I haven't read an anthology in a few weeks, so I don't mind it at all. I love short stories. I think when it's well done, it's just mwah, perfect format for me. And yeah, So I'm actually at the second or third story. Let me just make sure. I'm at the second story, like I'm in the middle of the second story. And the first story was good. I think I'm confused about the ending. But yeah, anyways, like I think it's fine, you know, to end the short stories like a little bit confused. So I'm a little confused. I was a little confused with the ending of the first one, but like it was super enjoyable. I really enjoyed it, and yes, so I'm excited to read the rest of the stories. I am not like super thorough in like rating each story or having like comments on every story, just because in general it's not something I do. Sometimes what I will do is like highlight the ones that I absolutely enjoyed, so I can like keep the author in my mind, see if they have other books or something like that. So that I would do, but like rating each story, that's less of like I don't have that patience. I don't have that patience. And honestly, I just sometimes when because it's an audiobook, sometimes I just like go through like one story and then the next, and then so unless it really sticks out to me as like an amazing writing that I really want to read more from the author, then I will like really stop and like do the thing. But yeah, so that's what I'm reading so far as like novels go. Physically, I'm still reading The Incendiary. So again, buddy reading this one, really excited. It's getting hard. It's getting hard. Yeah, it's the author is really toying with our feelings. That's all I'm gonna say. And what else am I reading physically? I think that's it. And then it's the graphic novel. So like my physical reading is basically Incendiary and graphic novels. And yeah, that's gonna be it for my update. So it's going, you know, so far so good. I do have a busy-ish weekend coming, so I don't know how much reading I'm gonna get there. Hopefully some. I do want to at least finish the graphic novels. Like that was gonna be my goal. So hopefully at least get through the graphic novels. And you know, we'll see for the audiobooks and the other books I'm reading. So I'll see you in my next update. ¿Verdad que no tomaría foto por tomar foto tampoco? No soy esa persona. Hola bookworms! So today I'm doing another update. I think it's gonna be either almost last. I think I want to do one last update where I'm gonna really wrap up all the books that I read during this spooky reading vlog. And yes, I might insert some of the things I did yesterday. So yesterday I had like a girls' day with my mom, and then we just yapped and walked around and had fun. And today actually we did the, what's it called? La Grande Marche, le Grand Défi Pierre Lavoie. So we walked 5K, and because we're in our fitness era, we decided that we would also go to the gym. So we walked the 5K. We went to the gym after, mostly to like work on the machines because obviously my cardio was done for the day. And yes, I think we're just gonna watch Hocus Pocus because I still need to watch that one for Halloween. I love watching Hocus Pocus during fall and spend time with the pups. And yes, so I'm also gonna finish this, which is gonna be I think one of the last books that I finished for this weekly vlog. I am in the middle of a couple, the same ones as my last update. So in terms of books and audiobooks, so those are still going on. And in terms of graphic novel, I ended up reading, as you'll see before, Les Passages Secrets. Now I'm finishing Witches of Brooklyn, and then I think I have time to read tomorrow the first volume of Casame. So I think I pretty much read all the ones I wanted to read during this week. So yeah, I'll see you tomorrow for the big wrap up. Bye. Hola bookworms! So today I'm coming to you with my official wrap up of all the books that I read during this week, which are, I'll talk to you about them in terms of spooky levels, but just in general also like a review of what I enjoyed or didn't about these books. Let me start with the only, I guess, novel I finished this week, which was The Angel of Indian Nick by Stephen Graham Jones. As you'll see, it's a pretty chunky book, which is why it took me so long. I actually listened to this on audiobook. This is peak horror, and it was great for this spooky reading vlog. And honestly, this is like a 4.5, 5 stars out of 5. I love the end of the trilogy. I think I rambled on a little bit before of what I loved about this, so I won't ramble too much about it, but just know that without any spoiler, the trilogy is completely worth it. If you want like a spooky trilogy with kick-ass characters, but like developed characters also, like they're not one level, and with very interesting writing aspects. So for example, in the first book, you have entries that are more like a school project, so you kind of see what's happening in the story, but also in parallel, like those essays about like horror stories or horror tropes, which I think is just great. Like it's so aware of its genre, it's so meta a little bit sometimes, but also like brings you back to like, no, this is like a character's real life and these are real people, and you know, I mean, not real people, like, but I mean like the characters, you know, she has to be brought back to like, no, this is actually real people, this is happening for real. So yeah, great trilogy, honestly couldn't recommend it enough. It's very, very much worth it. So that was the only level that I read. I would say out of spooky levels, this is a 5 out of 5 spooky. It's the creepiest thing. I think it's creeped me out more than the first two. So yes, this is like the creepiest thing I read this week. So yeah, be aware. Also, it can get kind of gory in the trilogy in general, so be aware of that. And then I remember saying at the beginning of the week, I wanted to see if I could gauge kind of like the spooky level of each of these based on like pure vibes. Honestly, let's talk about it. I think in terms of actual spookiness, this is kind of like from least to most, I guess. Like that's kind of the rating. So at least for M is for Monster, I think I like got it right. It was like not the spookiest graphic novel ever made, but it was the spookiest out of this bunch, which is what I thought. But in general, if I had a comment, most of these weren't spooky at all. A few of these actually had fall vibes, but then some were a bit a miss for this reading vlog. Not a miss in general, because I still enjoyed this and I still try to like separate the reading vlog from like my enjoyment of these books. But yeah, it's kind of, it pulled me out sometimes because I wanted this to be so specifically fall vibes, and it kind of missed the marks on some place. But let me start with, let me go through the whole list. So first we have Witches of Brooklyn by Sophie Escabas. And this was super cute. This was like very witchy, so it had that kind of fall vibe in that sense. So I really enjoyed it, but like don't worry, it's like zero spooky, like it's not scary at all. It's actually really sweet, and you'll have seen the insert also like before. So it's very colorful, it's super sweet, and it's Effie that her mom passed away, and in the middle of the night is being shipped to her aunt, which she knows barely anything about. The aunt knows like that she exists, but like she wasn't close to her sister, her stepsister. And so you kind of see how that's kind of the setting of it, like Effie's trying to grapple with the fact that her mom passed away, but also the fact that she is now living with people she knows nothing about in a town she doesn't know about, like she needs to change schools and all of that. And her aunt has a bit of an attitude, which you enjoy, but yeah, at the very beginning when like she's being like really sad and anxious, it's like not the best way to handle it, but you know, they get past it, and I think it's the sweetest thing to see develop those family bonds. And then also, of course, the fact that, well, her aunt is a witch and that Effie might also have some powers. And then also at the same time, you have this very sweet part of like her going to a new school and like finding new friends, and it's really sweet. Like this is a true middle grade. I feel like, I'm not sure the age range for this, but this is like a true sweet middle grade like witchy book without it being like scary or anything. Like again, zero scariness in this book. It's not scary at all. So yeah, that was really sweet. I enjoyed it. I think I would give it like a 4 out of 5. Highly continue this story. Like this is a series, I think, or trilogy so far, but I know there's at least 2 other books in this series, and honestly I would totally read them. This is the cutest thing. I want to follow like more of Effie and her aunt, and I want to say her aunt's close personal friend, maybe, I don't know, that we don't talk about that but it's just there. So yes, definitely enjoyed it, would recommend it. The next one that was zero scary was Passage Secret by Axel Lenoir. So this one is where it's one of my misses. There was no spookiness to say, I mean, like zero spookiness, but also it wasn't a fall or vibey book. This is autobiographical, which I didn't know, which, you know what, I should have known. I made no research of the book. Once I was like adding it to like my Goodreads, I realized that it was like very clearly an autobiography, and it's my fault. Like, this is completely on me. So for this reading vlog, it was a bit of a miss. Yeah, I don't know. It just, my vibe meter was zero, and my radar was like completely wrong. And even though like I know I base myself solely on the fact that there's a little girl in a dark forest with a ghost on the side, and yes, maybe it was too simple-minded of me, but I really thought there was gonna be ghosts in this. Anyways, just to know that spooky meter zero, and being autobiographical, I'm not judging the stories because, well, it's the author's life. But in terms of my enjoyment of it, I would say this is more of a 4-star. I think it went on a little long at some parts, and I didn't always get the point. So I don't know if it's a series. I want to say it is, because it hinted to the fact that there was a longer arching story, but also, I don't know, like as a beginning, it didn't like pull me into like reading more about the series, like about her and when she was younger, and this also like this magical realism vibe of she has a twin in another universe, but you only get that at the very beginning when she mentions it, and at the very end when you kind of see it, but you don't see it play out. Like, it's there. You just know it's there. Like, it's confirmed of what she said at the beginning. But I don't know, it's just, I understand what she said, and honestly, I love the graphics of it. Yeah, I enjoyed her style. I enjoyed the palette. You know, it's very bluish, gray, and kind of darks at times. I love like the expressions of all the kids, and you know, following her family was really sweet, but I don't think it's one that I'm gonna continue. And honestly, the more I talk about it, the more it's more like a 3.5. But again, it's not about the story, because like I'm not judging the author's story. Like, it was very relatable in a lot of senses. There's one specific scene where she mentions the Sears catalog that you received at Christmas, and it was like the best thing ever. And as a kid that grew up with the Sears catalog coming in like end November or mid-November, where I was super excited and spent hours just looking through like those last pages for the Christmas sections, and like I would like circle around, like I could totally relate. Like, this is the sweetest thing. I've never seen someone else relate to this, and like I'm pretty sure we're out there, you know, like it has happened to other like Montreal, Quebecer kids. But to say, it still wasn't enough. There was just still a disconnect for me with this story, and maybe it was because I thought it would be something else. But yeah, I still think if you're looking for an autobiographical graphic novel that's like set in Quebec, that's following this like sweet little girl with her 2 brothers and like her parents that she thinks are aliens, and it's the cutest thing. Like, truly, I like the imagination of the author of like portraying her life through a series. I would recommend it. Like, it's well done. It's just, personally for me, it just didn't hit the spot. Next, that was a lot of rambling. Next is The Moth Keeper by Kay O'Neill, and this one I knew already that I would love the art, because I think I've read now everything from Kay O'Neill. They're just amazing. Like, they have this amazing mind of creating the characters and the color palette they use. And again, this is one where it's just like spooky meter zero. Like, this is not scary at all. It has, I wouldn't say it has fall vibes either. It's more like a fantasy, which for me, I enjoy fantasy in fall, so it still kind of hit the spot, especially because there's the whole premise of night people and day people, and because they're night people, and you know, Anya is like taking on this role. Anya is the main character, so Anya is taking on this role that makes her have to, yes, like they're like the whole village is awake at night, but she has to like isolate herself like for that task that she has to do. So you have a lot of imagery of like outside and the cold and everything. So just, and I think it's actually in a desert, so you don't see a lot of that part, you know, like it's not like beautiful scenery of like trees and like fall colors and everything, but you get the fantasy setting and also the fact that it's like really cold, which I thought worked well for this reading vlog. In general though, my rating, I would say this is a 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed it. Again, the art for me, it's like a 5 out of 5. If you want like beautiful graphic novels, like Kay O'Neill is the way to go. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought we would go deeper on other parts of the story. Like I wish this actually had been even longer, because I wanted to explore even more, you know, her friend's side of thing and like the different roles they had in those villages, and maybe even more about like the history. Like there's a character that her whole shtick is that she's a storyteller, and like we got one story which made sense with the rest of the story, but I mean, I don't know, like I feel if it was longer I would have liked even like another story, just because it was like so well done, and like they tell story in a way that's very enveloping. Like I don't know, like I get really sucked in when Kay O'Neill writes their stories. So yeah, anyway, so to me it's like 4.5. Really enjoyed it. I think my all-time favorites from Kay O'Neill is still gonna be the Tea Dragon Society. That trilogy is just like, and the third one is like peak fall vibes. If you ever want like that kind of thing, you can check out her other books too. Next, we have Les Cousines Vampires by Alexandre Fontaine-Rousseau and Caton. And this is like a 1 out of 5 spooky level, mostly because of the theme, which is vampires, of course. But it's not like that spooky. There's nothing explicit. Yeah, it's like very tame. It's more of the fact that, you know, vampires, and that's basically it. And you know what? Honestly, it's short. It goes to the point. It had the right vibes. To me, it's like a 4.5. I really enjoyed this. Like it's fairly short, but I just love the way it was drawn. Like you'll see, you probably saw the shots before. It's like, it's almost with just like a pencil and like faded but still with details. And I just really enjoyed the style. I really enjoyed this main character being so bubbly and peppy in like a very funny way. Like it wasn't annoying, it wasn't like, I don't know, there was just this great balance of being peppy and a little clueless without it being annoying. And then the contrast of that with her cousin, which is like super unhinged and like dark, and yeah, I don't know, it's just evidently like you as the reader, you know right away that something is wrong, and you can tell like in the first 5 pages of meeting her cousin, you're like, oh yeah, I get what's happening. But seeing the main character like discover what's happening is super funny. And yeah, this is a 4.5. I really enjoyed it. This was really fun. I would definitely see if they done like other books together, you know. But yeah, really fun. Would recommend it. Next, we have Snapdragon by Kat Lee. Again, this is like a 1 out of 5. This is barely spooky. I think the only spooky thing in here is like homophobia happening, which thank God it doesn't happen too often, because this is a very inclusive and wholesome graphic novel, which we love. And yeah, this was really sweet. I really enjoyed it. I love, again, this is very like witchy. I love the whole aspect of witchy being like not just scary, but this is more like witch in regards to like spirits, more than, you know, potions and all of that. And I don't know, there was just a thing, I really enjoyed it. This is like, again, this is like out of 5, a 4.5 for me. I really enjoyed it. I love the main character, Snap. She's the sweetest girl ever. Her friendship with her friend is just the sweetest thing ever. Her relationship with her mom also is great. And then she befriends this witch, which at the beginning she's like, you know, this is just an old lady who's a little weird, and just it's just the cutest thing. And there's a whole backstory, and the more I went into this story, the more I was like, oh, like this is so cute. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. Again, this had more of like the vibes, I guess, of like the witchy, like it was more prominent. A little bit like Les Cousines Vampires. Because of that, I think it was a very good pick for this reading vlog. And yeah, I mean, it didn't end up being scary at all, basically. I mean, I would say 1 out of 5 still, because there's slightly creepy scenes happening, but not scary. Like, and it's not like monsters or anything, but yeah, so that was very enjoyable. And the last one I finished is M is for Monster by Talia Dutton. This, if I were to rate it in a spooky meter, I would say it's a 2 out of 5 or 3 out of 5. Because the whole concept in itself is kind of spooky. It's kind of creepy. So you follow Frances's monster, which is the whole retelling of Frankenstein. And so Dr. Frances loses her little sister, and then she wants to bring her back. But what ends up bringing back, or at least creating, is M, which is she's completely different and new from Mora, which is her little sister. And so the concept in itself is kind of creepy because, you know, like she's bringing a body back to life. There's a lot of like, there's a few moments where we talk about, you know, like how she built her and stitched her and like organs, and it can get a little like queasy, like, you know. So for that, I think it deserves at least a 2 out of 5 for the spooky levels. But yeah, it doesn't get that much graphic. I feel like there's a sense of dread that you have for the character of trying to fit in and kind of pretending to be the sister while also having to grapple with the fact that she's her own person, and then with the menace that she might have to get stitched back up or something like that, you know. So like that's really scary. That's kind of ominous. And yeah, like it's not I wouldn't say it's like a horror, but you get the vibe, and the palette helps too, you know. And you know, like it's really fun. To me, this is a 4.5. I really enjoyed it. If you want like a Frankenstein retelling, I know there's a few on novels. I haven't read many on graphic novel format. So if you want a graphic novel about like a Frankenstein retelling-ish, I would definitely recommend you this one. This was really enjoyable. So these are the 6 graphic novels that I read, plus this novel. And that's what I read during this wiki reading vlog. It's a lot. I agree with you. I know what you're thinking. It's too much. But honestly, some graphic novels were really quick to read, especially, for example, like Les Cousines Vampires and Witches of Brooklyn. Those I just flew through them. But yes, I concede that it's a lot of books. But yes, I enjoyed them. Like, I really wanted to get more into the spooky vibe, and even though I would say it wasn't like the most successful reading vlog, I have hope for next week. So yeah, this is gonna be it for this week. I hope you enjoyed this. If you like this video, you can like, you can comment. If you like this content in general, you can always follow. And if you want in the comments, if you enjoyed this reading vlog, like tell me which of these looks the more appealing to you, or you can leave just a little emoji, maybe with like a witch's hat or something. And yes, I'll see you soon in another reading vlog. Bye.